You would not believe how many questions I get asked on a daily basis about cycling tech. Everything from what bike to choose, to what tube of tyres I recommend, to how to fit a bottom bracket, and many, many more, both here on YouTube and on my social media channels, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. So it gave me an idea. Why not start a brand new series right here, right now, where I do my best to try and answer all your burning questions. So this is it, the first in my new series, maybe monthly to start with, depending on how well it goes and what sort of reaction I get from all of you on this idea. And I did a shout out on my community page here on YouTube the other day. I had loads and loads of really good questions, and I picked a few to start with. But I'm going to dive in with the trickiest question right now, proving I'm unafraid to tackle the really big questions, and that is, will COVID-19 impact bike prices? So it's been a crazy year, that's for sure, and you might have noticed bike prices are going up. As with the Giant TCR I reviewed recently, link above if you missed that. Giant isn't alone though. The Specialized and Canyon prices have gone up compared to before. I'm sure others will follow, especially in the new year, especially into spring when 2022 bikes are announced. So what is going on? Are bike companies simply putting up their prices while bikes are in demand and sales are through the roof to make more profit? Well, it's clear what lots of you think, judging by social media comments I've seen in the last few weeks. But to try and find out the truth, I've had a few conversations with people in the industry much closer to what's actually happening off the record to try and reveal the truth behind these bike prices going up. Specialized provide this statement, which I'll flash up on screen now. Now, I do think public anger at prices going up would be reduced if companies are better at explaining why the prices are going up and more transparency about the current situation. So that's a Specialized statement, and the reasons in it are basically mirrored by others I've spoken to, and it appears there are two things going on. There's the shipping costs and there's the currency fluctuations as the main cause of the prices going up. So here in the UK, it's the strength of the pound versus the euro and the dollar, which most bike brands trade in. And the other big one is shipping costs. So every step of the journey from A, where the bike is made in China or Taiwan, to the final destination here in the UK, to a bike shop or to a consumer's house, has seen increased strain. And every step of the way, every step of that journey, the costs have gone up because of simply increased demand around the world for shipping goods on water, which is the main way of getting products from A to B. A big part of it is the cost of a container. These 40-foot metal containers, moving, storing it, shipping it across the ocean, these costs have gone up. And compounding the problem appears to be a shortage of containers, and some UK ports, you might have read, are close to capacity, so they're filling up, they're running out of space with all the containers. And then the other big one is one we can all relate to, is social distancing and PPE, having big impacts. In a warehouse, you have lots of people moving bikes and products around, but with fewer staff due to the distance required, that takes longer to get a bike through the whole process. So that's now a factor as well. So lots of complex supply chain logistics that are all impacting the price of a bike. Bike brands have adjusted the prices then to reflect this increased demand and strain on the supply chain and the currency fluctuation. So I do think there are more challenging times ahead, but how it pans out over the long term, nobody knows. Will the bike prices come back down once we get back to normal, whatever normal is? Nobody knows. So at the moment, it looks like COVID-19 is impacting bike prices by going up. In some cases, only a few £100s. In some cases, quite a chunk. So something to watch out for if you're in the market for a new bike next year. Okay, that's enough about COVID-19. Let's move on to some other really good questions I've had recently. Now, Christian asks, Di2 versus mechanical Ultegra, is it worth the extra? That's a really good question, and one I get asked quite a lot. Well, if you watch my ode to mechanical Ultegra, link above if you missed that, you'll know which I prefer. Now, both group sets work really well and change gears reliably, but which you choose really is a personal preference, which you prefer in terms of ergonomics. Di2 doesn't really perform any better, it's just nicer and different to use. You can say it's easier. Pressing a button rather than pushing a lever results in fewer missed gears, but there's a battery to remember to charge up from time to time, and it's not as easily fixable by a side of the road, and I've had a battery fail in the past, so that's an issue as well. Mechanical can be lighter as well. Chance of snapping cable out in the middle of nowhere is pretty remote, and you can fix it if you need to. And some people just prefer the ergonomics of mechanical, the actual tangible feel of moving a lever and you know you're changing gear. So there are pros and cons to both really, but I wouldn't buy Di2 in the belief that it's somehow better. It won't result in more performance when you're racing or just riding hard, it's just a different user experience. Now personally, if money is an object, and it usually is, I would choose mechanical over electronic because the price increase is big, and spending the money I save on a better set of wheels or some other upgrade, maybe a cycling holiday when the pandemic is in the rearview mirror, rather than put it all into electronic thinking that's a better bike than a mechanical bike. So that's just my 2 pence. Let me know what you think down below. A good question here from Aaron Tool. He asked whether to buy an endurance bike or a gravel bike with a road set of wheels. Well, if it's just for riding the road, the endurance bike can be better. They're usually lighter, the geometry better suited to road riding, and most of the clearance are wide enough tyres, so 32, which is arguably enough for most people on the road. You can certainly use a gravel bike for road riding with fat slicks, and I've done that in the past on my C-Can, no problem at all. Having 2 sets of wheels, that's a really exciting proposition for a gravel bike. Road wheels, gravel wheels. But it really comes down to the ratio of road to off-road riding. Now if you're buying a gravel bike and putting slick tyres on and only riding the road, I would say it's a bit like buying a Land Rover and never taking it off-road, so you're better off on a road bike. But if you want a gravel bike because you want to do some off-roading at some point, then that would be a more flexible, versatile bike, and yes, it'll still be good on the road, just not as good as the endurance bike. A really good question here from Neil C. asks what road bike for someone moving up to junior next year for longer road races. So personally, I would seriously look at an aluminium bike, like that Bowman Palace I reviewed, I think above if you missed that. As frames are often cheaper than carbon, and you can spend the money you save on some aero carbon wheels and save the rest of things like entry fees, petrol money to get you to races, because the cost of racing is actually quite high. You get a license, a coach if you're taking it seriously, power meter, nutrition, everything else you need, and that's something to factor in. And you spend all your money on a fancy carbon frame, you won't have any money for getting to races, so I would spend less on a carbon frame, get a really good aluminium frame. It'd be stiff enough, light enough, and it'd be more durable than carbon as well, so ideal for the rough and tumble of a junior road race. On to my last question from G.W. Smith, and he asked not a tech question, but which is my favourite area of the UK to ride? Well, regular viewers will know I'm based in the Cotswolds, so clearly I'm biased, and the Cotswolds is my favourite place to ride. It's got flat roads, got hilly roads, undulating roads, beautiful scenery, not too busy with cars as well, so nice and quiet roads if you want them. It's just a perfect road cycling landscape for me. I'd also say my home county of Devon, where I grew up, is amazing for road riding and especially mountain biking, which I grew up doing on Dartmoor. Amazing place to ride. Lots of variety down there, but pretty hilly as well. Also Wales and Scotland, done a lot of riding in the former. Stunning areas to ride, again like the Cotswolds, lots of nice quiet traffic free roads, lots of hills if you want them, good for gravel as well. So for me it's anywhere where it's rolling roads, a few hills, and it's nice to look at, nice landscape, and nice and quiet, gives you that sense of freedom that you want when you're riding a bike, get away from our hectic busy lives. Those are my favourite places then, but how about you? Where are your favourite roads here in the UK or wherever you're watching from? Germany, Australia, America? Let me know down below where are your favourite roads for riding. That concludes my first ever cycling tech questions and answers, and I really enjoyed it actually. It's been a really fun little process to go through. Had some great questions, got loads more to go through, and if you have some burning questions, put them down in the comment section below or ask me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you prefer. And if you disagree with some of my answers, put them down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on these questions as well. Maybe get some debate going in the comment section. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, that's all for now. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it, and if you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. There's some other videos floating around if you can watch other bike reviews on my channel, and I'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for watching.